This is Jitmuang Non Jim, and that is Gulab Kao standing next to me. He's from the Nontachai gym, and he's the older brother of Jampatong Nontachai, who is who this patron session is with, but is actually with Gulab Kao and Jampatong, which is awesome. Gulab Kao has his own entry into the Muay Thai Library, so here he's actually reiterating something he already said to me in our session together, which is like, actually visualize your opponent when you're shadow boxing. Look how beautiful the way he's moving around. Both Gulab Kao and Jampatong have this incredible right hand that just fucking like comes through the opponent. It's insane. You'll see it because he's going to show it to me in a second. But Gulab Kao is the manager at Jitmuang Non Gym, and Jampatong actually does not do any kind of Muay Thai. He's 60 years old and has not even worked out in 30 years, according to Gulab Kao. And he came to train me his Muay Thai for the Muay Thai Library, which is incredible. But he owns like a restaurant. Here's these punches. Look at that right. See how it just like comes across? Like, I remember this right. It's like so nasty. He's laughing. Thunk. This is one of the cool things to me about the Muay Thai Library. It makes me really, really happy is that there are legends, like absolute legends of the Golden Age. Jampatong was 118-pound Raja champion. He knocked out Chumok Pet with a head kick. He knocked out Sanchurng with a head kick. He knocked out Sang Tianoi with a head kick. He beat Samart twice. He's just an incredible gem of the Golden Age. And he owns a restaurant. He doesn't teach Muay Thai anymore. So getting his Muay into the Muay Thai Library is not something that he necessarily would even think of. He doesn't teach Muay Thai anymore. So, or maybe ever did. So it's very cool for me to have people like this, like Samson Hassan is a taxi driver. He's in the Muay Thai Library. But something that was unexpected about this session is that because we trained with Gulab Kao before and he brought his younger brother Jampatong in, he ended up kind of guiding Jampatong because he's not a Muay Thai teacher. So it was like, take a day off of your restaurant and come show your Muay. And because Gulab Kao helped in the process, it ended up being these siblings, these brothers, playing together in the gym after like 40 years. Like they just did not do Muay Thai together. I'm impressed at all the new bags. That's Jampatong over here on the right. The last time I was here was to train with Gulab Kao, and they had completely different bags. Jampatong was very shy. He is not a crew. He does not teach Muay Thai, but he's done Muay Thai his entire life. So he very shyly kind of stayed in the background, and he was just kind of playing on the bag by himself, like just kind of went over to it to feel some things. He had bruising on his leg when we were working together that I think that because he hasn't kicked a bag in 30 years, he like showed up before me and kicked the bag a couple of times and like bruised his leg.
อ่านประวัติป่ะในประวัติที่ดูใน YouTube อ่ะลูกเด็กของตะบะท้องก็คือลูกเตะก้านคอเตะก้านคอจมูกเพชรหลับ
So Gulab Kao is bragging to me about Jampatong. Look at how Jampatong's watching me. He's just like, why does this girl want to learn from me? I said to him the first time I trained with Chumok Pet, one of the first things he told me was getting knocked out by Jampatong. How it was just this like boop, like he didn't see the kick coming, and then it was just gone, and he like woke up later. So Jampatong like borrowed his shorts and is wearing a shirt of the gym. 30 years, they're telling me. It's been 30 years since he's done any Muay Thai. He was like, I retired. I was like, are you sick of Muay Thai? Like, you're not interested? And he's like, my bua. Like, no, I'm not bored of Muay Thai. I like Muay Thai. Look how sweet he is. So I'm asking him what kind of restaurant he has because I had heard that he has a goi diao, which is like a noodle shop, which is what he had before, but now he has a grapao shop, which is a very, very popular Thai dish.
เหมือนกับ
So I'm saying you're similar to Samson Hassan, like an incredible fighter who just did not carry on in Muay Thai. He's a taxi driver. He married a police officer. He's got 4 kids.
หรือว่าไปเป็นครูสอนข้างนอก
ดังมากกว่า
ใช่เพราะว่านักมวยสมัยก่อนมันไม่เหมือนสมัยนี้สมัยนี้มีอาชีพมันปิ๊บมีอาชีพเยอะแยะ
So
ตัวได้น้อยกว่าอาชีพ
Gulab Khao is actually telling me that fighters from before had very different opportunities from fighters
ต่อ
now.
ย3 ยก
Fighters now
ล้านห้า
get a big kadua, they get a big purse to fight only 3 rounds, whereas in the golden age you had to fight 5 rounds against another Yod Muay in order to have a good purse. And it's like now it's you fight 3 rounds against someone who's not even really in your league, and you get paid pretty well for it. So a lot of fighters I've heard from the golden age kind of lament that it's easier now. You get paid more now for mostly easier fights.
ผ้าไม่มีหรอ
But it's relative to what your experiences are, right? So this pad man is Crudin. Crudin is awesome. I love him lots. He's a pad man at Jitbongnan who they bring in for these sessions with me so that they can instruct and then I can actually do the things with him. Gulab Khao is like getting right in on kicking the pads. He is over 60, and he is just ripping these pads. Look at how balanced he is. And then he's just like, just taking it out for a test drive. Look how fun Crudin is. He's also awesome for me because he's small. So like the body mapping of his size and my size is really fun. I get to do things with him that I can't do on pad holders who are bigger. But this is also a really nice way in which the long form instruction of the Muay Thai library works, right? It's not like take a single technique and highlight it and now you've got the axe to do the next level in the video game. It's actually how things unfold and evolve. Crudin's coming to kick me in the head straight away because we're about to do some Jampatong head kicking. But a lot of times when you're putting someone in the Muay Thai library who isn't anymore in Muay Thai, they're not a trainer somewhere, they're not a pad man somewhere, they totally know all of their Muay Thai. They still remember it and they can still do all of it. But it's like having a conversation. You have to start talking and then they'll like remember as things come out. But if it's like, teach me something, they're not in that format. So this is really beautiful, this long form instruction of basically playing with Crudin while Jampatong watches and he can see like how can I work with this, or like she does the head kick but not in the way that I would do it, and so this is how I would do it.
Again. Good.
I think my kick has gotten better since the last time I was here. So Gulab Khao is more comfortable giving instructions. So he's the first to come in because Jampatong is very shy. I'm imitating Panam Tung Lek, who grabbed Bong Torni, took his back, and then just kept kneeing him from behind, and the ref let it go. It's this incredibly embarrassing fight from the golden age of Panam Tung Lek and Gulab Khao. I forgot that Panam Tung Lek is who took Jampatong's belt from him. Look at how Gulab Khao is just waiting. Like he's just watching and seeing how things go. And then he sees this thing. He sees this little like hitch. And he jumps in to work on it. So I've got the arm hook and I have the back of his head and he's like, rip him. Dot is a shortened version of krodot. Krodot means to jump. So he's like dot 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 means like jump. Hop, hop, dot. I hate this. I hate this. See how, in order for this to work, your weight has to be forward. You cannot kick and like lean back and be able to jump up on someone. I lean back. So when I get my like, fuck you, I'm gonna lean into you, I can do that jumping up thing, but I don't kick like that most of the time. That's a good follow-up. So Gulab Khao is saying that it's a better point to throw the leg and kick on top of it. It's like that's not wrong, but this is an improvement kind of thing. Dieselnoy likes to knee on the hamstring, so anytime I do that on a cock kick, I have to yell his name. So this is an important thing, is like being able to stand in order to counter. Like you might get hit by something, but in order to counter and get that point back, you have to be close. You have to stand in. So here he's correcting what I was doing before. I have the arm loop and the back of the head, which is what I had last time. I was trying to pin the outside leg and pull him around. But because I have the arm loop, I'm way over on the left side of Kru Din's body. And so what Gulab Khao is having me do, look at his left leg. His left leg hits my left leg, and he basically trips me over our legs touching. So the reason that works is because I'm so far over on Kru Din's body. I was trying to pin his leg and pull around, which Gulab Khao shows me that takes a lot more strength because you're all the way over here. If I had him in a frame like this, tripping the way that I'm trying to trip works. See how far he has to rip me? He's like, all your weight has to come over this way in order to pin with your left leg. And so you actually don't have enough strength to pull around necessarily if someone is like resisting you. They got excited when I got into my Muay Khao thing, when I started like just giving the buffet of knees. You can like hear a little bit of people like cheering from the back. Trip. Oh, he's resisting me. Foul, foul. You can't hit him when he's got 3 points down. This is really good. Like my weight was too far forward and just kind of like pushed me off the side. This is a really nice thing about this kind of pad man who will like play with you, is that Kru Din, literally, you can throw anything at him and he will see it in time to like protect himself. He may not block it or catch it, but he's protecting himself. He's not going to get hit by something. So you can really be freestyle with him. On top of that, sometimes he'll get you with something and kind of like stand in order to present the opportunity for you to counter it. Oh, do you see that teep? His like water skipper teep? That was beautiful. So he's showing how not to lose your balance as you're like coming off of a teep. Either teep and take that space with a step, but don't like stumble forward. Gulab Khao's balance is unfairly good given his age. Oi, that landed. I'm calling for the doctor. Mama, come check his cut. See how he kind of like takes something and just, he pauses. He like expands the time a little bit to give you time to figure out how to follow up on something or whether to dodge around. It's a really baby bear scenario of teaching fighters how to load their next weapon. In a real fight, he wouldn't give that pause, but in practice, he's giving you that pause so that you can be like, oh, I should step here and kick here or whatever. That's a nice little smack. And here he's snuffing my space, so I basically have to protect myself as he's coming in. This energy, this distance, ends up being what Jampatong has as his style. He's longer. He's much taller than both me or Crudin. But basically what Jampatong did is he would annoy his opponents to the point where he forced them into some kind of protective situation of batting away his kicks or accepting his kicks, and then he would get his head kick out of that focus. So he's like, focus on this, head kick. And that's something that this kind of pad work with Crudin, see how he gets me focusing on something, and if I stay focused on it, if I get too focused on it, he'll attack me. But if I change up my vocabulary, then it keeps evolving. It's really good. So when we're at this distance, he wants a high digging knee. Need a break.
รักษาไม่ค่อยหายแล้วยก5ครับไหลหลุดครับแต่หัวใจยังสู้อยู่นะครับดูครับยกแขนไม่ได้แล้วนะครับและสุดท้ายก็แพ้น็อกเอาท์ไปเพราะว่าไหลหลุดนะครับนี่คือไฟต์สุดท้ายในชีวิตของเขาเพราะว่ารักษาอาการไหลหลุดให้หายขาดไม่ได้ทำชีวิตนั้นเสียชีวิต
All right, so now we've got Jampatong, right? So we got him a little bit more comfortable in the space. We got Muay Thai going, energy going, and so now we have Jampatong on the pads. He's demonstrating how he does his head kick. If you missed that, he kicks the body a couple of times to get the opponent to be like, yeah, I want to like kind of block that. And it just drags the hand down, and then he goes over. I'm asking about distance. The distance for his body kick and his head kick are exactly the same. I'm going to geek out on this for a second. Watch Jampatong's standing foot. He lands with it at an angle. He doesn't pivot on the ball of his foot. He lands with it at an angle, and his body kick and his head kick are fucking indistinguishable. You cannot see it. He's like, you just go up and like nail their, look at him go. It just comes up higher and comes down. He doesn't float up on his standing foot at all. And he's like, yeah. Yeah. So he's saying that you don't kick with full power because you want them accepting the kick. They're like, okay, I can take that. And then you just go over it with the head kick. If you kick too hard, they're going to be like, I don't want to be kicked, and they're going to start scooting away. You basically want to pin them to that spot, being like, that's not so bad with these like body kicks. Do you see how indistinguishable? Look at his standing leg. I know when you're looking at his kicking leg, you can see the difference between the body kick and the head kick because it goes differently. His standing leg does not change at all. He just kind of like whips his hip out a little bit wider and then just comes down like a little rainbow shot on that head kick.
His foot doesn't change at all. Like his standing foot is exactly.
I'm trying to figure out how he's doing it. Like I'm trying to figure out how. Do you see how Crudin? His is much longer. He's coming with his back leg. Jampatong liked to do it with his front leg, right? Because that's the open side. So it's like open side, open side, open side, head kick. So Crudin's is different. It whips around much more because he's coming with his back leg. But it's the same, like, the kick falls like a chop into the neck. Look at how Jampatong is like smacking his gloves together. I don't think he's worn gloves in like 30 years. So my thought at this point was, I am going to get head kicked, so just try my best to like anticipate it. So this is an important thing to watch with Jampatong, is that because he's snuffing space the way that Crudin was on the pads, he's going to get hit. Like he's going to take things in order to stand in that spot from his opponent. But everything you throw, he downloads where your opening is going to be. Guys, this is one of my favorite things that ever happened for the Muay Thai Library. These are brothers in their 60s messing around like they're 12 in the gym. Like,
he pulls the hand.
this is how they spar together. You can't really see it on the camera, unfortunately. I was like so keyed into this. The expressions on their face of like who was in charge at any given moment. Again, Gulab Khao on the right is the older brother, and he's letting Jampatong demonstrate these kicks in the head. But Jampatong's starting to like make them a little bit more serious. So what he was showing there is how to like push the arm down, like get the guard out of your way and then kick over it. So I noted that Jampatong's foot like wraps around the back of the head a little bit. So he's hitting with his shin, the bottom of his shin. It's fucking hard. But see how his foot is like wrapping around the back? It hits you back here and you are just done. You're just out. Lap nenon. This means like you'll sleep for sure. He's like, you can block like this. People don't block like behind their neck. When you watch Gulab Khao as he's blocking because he knows that he's working with his brother, he actually kind of like folds his glove around his neck a little bit. So I'm like, when you bat the arm away, you're not like slamming it down. You're basically just heavily pushing it. It's like you're letting the weight, what is it with like a French press? You use the natural weight of your hand to push it down. It's kind of like that with your glove. You just kind of like fold it down. So Jampatong was making a point about his weight coming onto his front leg. He's saying if your weight comes onto your front leg after you've batted the hand down, your kick won't come in time. So basically you have to bat the hand down at the same time that your weight is coming forward. Gulab Khao is making a point about stretching. I can't get my leg up over their shoulders. These are, to me, kind of tall men. But basically they were saying that Jampatong, when he was a fighter, every day would do these stretches because he had to have loose hips. He's now 60 and hasn't done anything in 30 years, and he's still able to get that kick over the head. So if you are not a flexible person, the like doing flexes every day is not the only way you can be a head kicker. I am unbelievably unflexible, and in a dynamic stretch like kicking the head, mostly I can get up there, but if you want me to like statically get it up there, there's no way. The thing is that the way my body is shaped when I'm pushing the arm down to get my leg up that high, he keeps his body upright. He doesn't bring his head down. So that's where the flexibility is that his head does not go down and his leg comes up.
Oy. Oy. It accelerates. It accelerates at the end.
So Gulab Khao is saying that he blocked, but the kick knocked his glove into his head and his like glove knocked him out. Jampatong hit me a couple of times in this session through my glove. That was like, you're blocked, so it's like through your glove. He could knock you out through your glove, like 100%. He's like, go ahead and block. I'm gonna knock you out through your glove.
Ask him what other weapon he liked. He was a very complete fighter. I don't think he was a head kick fighter only.
So he's known for his head kick. He was like the head kick king, and he knocked out some of the best fighters ever with a head kick in like round 2. Just unbelievable. But it's that thing where when you're known for one thing, people are looking out for it. So how you set up for it and how you use everything else to get to it is really the kind of fighter you are. So basically you try to get the opponent to have to deal with something. So in order to get to this head kick, you want your opponent batting things out of the way. So you have to start annoying them with teeps, with kicks. So Jampatong is like, you just annoy the hell out of their body. You like teep them in the body, punch them in the body, and they start getting really like concerned about blocking down there, and that's when the head kick comes up.
เตะบ่อยเขาก็บังเลยเราต้องให้เขาเพลินอยู่ข้างล่างเงี้ยเราก็
เตะแรงไหมเตะ
ธรรมดา
นิดหน่อย
So I'm like, do you kick really hard? And he's like, tamada. Tamada means like
ไม่ระวังไม่ระวัง
usual or normal. It's like, nah, you just kick like a normal amount. This cat snuck into my gym bag and tried to come home with me. He's very sweet.
ทำที่เตะแล้วก็
He's trying to be part of the show.
ใช่ไหมไม่ใช่มวยเดิน
So I'm talking about how there's a difference between when you teep to annoy someone versus when an opponent is coming towards you and you're teeping defensively. So for his style, you basically want to stand in space and wait for the opponent to go first. The opponent protecting themselves or the opponent coming at you is what creates the opening for you to throw that head kick. You cannot be the like be first fighter with that head kick. Basically annoy, get them to do something, head kick.
นี่ไม่เตะแล้วออกมาทีทีออกไปเรื่อยไม่ระวัง
ใช่ทุกคนรู้แล้วตรงปมกัน
So what Gulab Kha was just explaining is that like if they're durning on you, as you're juggling them off of you, you want them to think this is no problem. I can keep dealing with whatever it is that he's throwing at me. And then you create the opening for that head kick.
Oh,
That's why he's fighting Kat knew he's a head kicker, so he just stayed tight and was like coming at him, but he's southpaw. He's coming at him, and he just waited and waited and waited.
So this is great. They do like a little reenactment of when he fought Chumok Pet. Chumok Pet's southpaw. So Gulab Kha is playing Chumok Pet. Chumok Pet just kept his hands up because he was like, I know I'm going to get head kicked, but he had to keep coming forward. Chumok Pet's little, and as he's coming towards Jampatong, Jampatong just like annoy, head kick. Round 2, he knocked out Chumok Pet.
he's so fast.
Tuk. So Jampatong is making a point here. He's like, if you kick the neck with your shin, you don't have to use a lot of power. Just the weight of the leg itself, because the shin is so hard, when you hit back there, they're out, they're done. If you kick with your foot, people might be able to like handle being kicked in the head.
ทุกอย่างเป็นแบบรำฐานใช่ไหมทุกอย่างรำฐาน
So I'm like, everything you do is just to annoy the opponent, to like put them in a position that you can kick their head. I know he's trying to kick my head, and I'm totally just like, I just protect the head. Gulab Kha was like, go after him, go forward. And I'm like, you are crazy, sir. Look how much fun Jampatong's having. He's like, I get to hit people. See how still he is. See how like relaxed he is. He let me take he gave a leg kick, he let himself take it, and then his counter was just my head over the top. See how my hands come down on anything I do just out of habit? He sees that. Gulab Kha's trying to get me to be a little bit more aggressive, and I'm like, I'm actually terrified. But see how I landed like 10 things, and none of that matters because once you get nailed, you're just done. Like, he can get hit 20 times.
เชื่อไหมเวลาคนหนึ่งเขาชกกับเราเนี่ยเขายืนเนี่ยเขาไม่ได้เขาคิดเรื่อยเลยออกมาปั๊บดึงหน่อยนึงคุณออกมาเรื่อยออกมาปั๊บเขาเห็นหมดแล้วเนี่ยเขาเห็นหมดแล้วเนี่ยปั๊บนะ
So Gulab Kha was explaining to me how Jampatong functions, right? So he's like, the opponent's coming and they're throwing things, and you're basically seeing what they like to throw, and you're like, oh, their hand comes down when they're doing that leg kick. Oh, they stop after they do that leg kick. Like anything that gives a little download information of like what this person's patterns are, leaves you open to the head kick. This is really cool. So if you're taking kicks, everyone knows when you like catch a kick, you're supposed to slide over to the side a little bit in order to take the impact out. Gulab Kha's like, you can do that without catching the kick. Just take a little step to the side to take the impact out of it. Like, if you're a fighter like Jampatong who's trying to stay in this pocket for your head kick all the time, you're gonna take kicks. And so it's like, just take the impact out a little. As I'm kicking his leg, he's just pulling back just enough so that the impact of that is just, the edge is just taken off a little bit.
Việt này vào Việt Nam.
เราก็คล้ายๆเขาออกมาเราก็
So I'm like, if your opponent is taking out all their weapons, your opponent is coming after you. How are you responding?
ยับปั๊บยับนี่ก็ยับเพลินยับไปยับมามือตกเพลินปั๊บกดปั๊บปั๊บ
So Glove Cow is explaining that you basically just throw something and see what they do. Throw something and see what they do. Let them throw something, see what they do. Like you're just memorizing a person quickly in the first round, and then he's knocking everyone out in the second round.
ปั๊บไปเรื่อยไม่ออกผมก็ปั๊บไม่ได้ระวังอะไรเลย
I love this so much. I love these two sparring together.
ปั๊บ
Glove Cow's getting his oats a little bit. He's like, he's a little bit more aggressive in that round than he was when he was demonstrating the head kick. But that's just the like, it's the same thing of like, you see what someone does after their jab all the time, and then you're just like, bop. Like, it doesn't matter how many times you get hit because you are timing the knockout, basically. He's a knockout artist.
ใช้เหลี่ยมใช้จังหวะไปเรื่อย
He's moving a little bit more. He's like trying to find his little moments to be more aggressive than before, where he was basically just taking everything I was doing. But I can actually feel, when I'm open. I can't feel it fast enough to protect myself, but I'm like, I don't really want to throw this punch because I feel open.
เราไม่ต้องหวังผลนะ
Oh. Dude.
He hit me so directly. That looked like nothing on video. It's one of these things where you get hit and you're like, holy shit, that was hard. And then
That's
when
good for you.
you see it on video,
Right
it's
hand
like
lead
nothing.
kick. That's really good for you.
It was so accurate. He just smacked my hand down and punched over it. That same thing that he and his brother have this kind of right that like comes across. It hurts and it's very accurate.
It's just like fucking like bang.
They go through with that punch.
ตรงก่อนใช่ไหม bang.
เกี่ยวดินี่ปั๊บยังไงสอนไว้อ่ะเนี่ย
So Glove Cow is showing me what he's doing. He's using his front arm to bat down the opponent's front arm and then cross over it, and you like just totally catch them off guard. Oh, he nailed me in the nose with that. It was like, it was fast. See how still he is, and then he just hurts you. This is one of the things that first made me love Muay Thai so much, is that, you know how like in Kung Fu there are like animal forms, so there's the crane is like a crane, the snake is like a snake. Many Muay Thai fighters, but some more than others, he very much is like this, are like fighting fish, where they just float at a distance, and then it's like whoosh, and then just like float again. See how he just stands there like calm as, and then just bop. Like there's no like explosion. It's just suddenly like the quick draw. Krudin came up and is like, keep that hand up. You're swimming with a shark, stop bleeding. See how light he is on his feet? And he has a rhythm, but it's actually not a like rocking thing. He's just able to move at any moment. And he does these like little steps to like prepare himself that are kind of imperceptible because you're worried about like what things up here are doing. Then they're saying like dodge back. Oh.
It's like just a split second.
You only have to make a mistake for like a moment and you get hit by that. And again, Jampatong is famous for this head kick because he knocked out such top level fighters with this head kick. But he's so well rounded. He's an incredible fighter in every way. And then you have to worry about the fucking sniper thing. It's like just an additional horrible thing. It's like right in the back.
It's scary. scary.
Yeah, but he puts you where he wants
Kevin's
you to
like,
be.
stop going backwards.
He puts you where
Like,
he wants you
he's
to be.
terrifying.
See?
See how he's messing with me now with his
He
little
wants
like
you to move back.
foot switches? Even the way that he like accepts a couple of things, like a little dodge bag, like, oh, I wasn't really able to block your punch, invites me to punch again, which then just leaves me open. Like he's just a few steps ahead of you all the time.
นี่อยู่ใกล้
So Gulab Khao is saying you have to stay close all the time. If you back up, he'll get you. So you have to stay in this pocket.
He
The
controls a
shitty
lot
part
with
is
lead
that
hand.
Jampatong can kick you from the
that.
pocket. Like he can take your head off
Very stiff.
from the pocket. But it's still safer for you to be at this distance than it is for you to be backing off. They're so cute. They're so sweet.
เนี่ยใกล้ใกล้
Gagai means stay close. That is a good block. So Gulab Khao, the older brother, he was 135-pound Raja champion, and Jampatong was 118-pound Raja champion. So they were not the same size as kids, which means that their sparring was like a younger brother learning the little technique to be able to get it on his older brother.
ใกล้ก็เตะได้ใกล้ก็เตะได้
So Gulab Khao is just saying, even if you stay close, he can still kick you. So you're not like safe, but keep your guard up and staying closer
รับให้จับปอทองหมดแรง
is better.
คนหมดแรงไหม
So I'm like, who beat you? Like how did you lose? And he's like, oh, many people beat me.
ลดน้ำหนักเยอะ
And so Gulab Khao is saying when he lost to Phnom Tuong Lek, it was because he lost too much weight. He had to come down for the 118-pound title. He must have gotten bigger at this point, and he had to lose a lot of weight, and he had no energy. Jampatong said of himself, the way to beat me is to make me tired. So if you can last into the later rounds, he's knocking people out in rounds 1 and 2.
แสงเทียนน้อยหลับ
Sanchung and Sang Tianoi,
โดนเตะหลับ
Phnom Tuong Lek took Jampatong's 118-pound title by wearing him out, and they're saying Jampatong lost too much weight.
แสนเชิงปินสินชัยโดน
So Sanchung Pinsanchai
โดน
had
เตะ
like
คอหลับยกสอง
very good defense. He was very cat-like. He had these good blocks.
Yeah, he lost to Phnom Tuong Lek because he had to lose a lot of weight, and Phnom Tuong Lek just grabbed him.
But Sanchung,
So when he got grabbed by Phnom Tuong Lek, that's how you protect yourself, is you lock him up. This is Sanchung that we're imitating. Sanchung has this like block to protect himself. Just protect the neck.
เตะจับขาเลยเหรอ
Jampatong knocked him out in round 2, and so they're going to do a little demo of how this worked.
มันก็จะจับ
Gulab Khao is Sanchung. Sanchung kicked.
did he head kick
Gulab
him
Khao
on the
caught
cock?
it. Sorry, Jampatong caught it, and then Jampatong knocked out Sanchung, holding his leg.
จับปั๊บบอลนี่จะคืนปั๊บมันก็จะจับเหมือนกันคนละข้าง
Can you imagine how amazing that would be if you were in the audience watching that? You're like,
จับปอทองเตะก้านคอหลับ
แล้วก็เข้า
Sanchung was
ขาเดียว
tough.
ตาย
ครับนี่นี่เลย
Caught it, head
He
kick.
caught the kick and head kick him?
หลับยกสอง
Unbelievable,
ชั่ว
unreal.
โมงเพชรยกไหนวะ
Chumuk Pet,
ชั่วโมงเพชรยกสอง
also round 2.
Was he always looking for head kick
แล้ว
when
ก็
he fight?
เวลาชกใครก็ได้ แล้วก็อยากได้แตะคอแน่นอน
เตะแน่นอน
แบบไม่
So basically, this was the like, I can win the fight at any moment with this head kick. So he would do other stuff and he could control people all the time, but he was always looking for that head kick because it's like, get out of the fight free card.
อย่างนี้
So I'm like, how the fuck did he knock out Sang Tianoi with a head kick? Sang Tianoi is very tall and Sang Tianoi was very big.
ขึ้นอย่างนี้
Gulab Khao is like, he hit him in the head
Both legs
coming
or lead legs
up.
mostly?
mostly is
Like,
but Santino was southpaw.
Most people, it's like dropping in. Sang Tianoi was very tall, so he basically just kicked up and knocked him out. I could not believe that he fought and beat Sang Tianoi because Sang Tianoi was so big. They fought at 118 pounds, so it was when Sang Tianoi was smaller. It was like as he was getting bigger.
118ตัวชกกับเซนติโนกี่กิโล
ชิงแชมป์118
โอ้เวลาเขา
So it was they fought for a title at 118. So Sang Tianoi was smaller at that time, but still
118
tall.
pounds.
Sanctinoy is very tall.
ประจำเลย
แล้วตอนเลย118ก็มาต่อยกันอีก
ใช่
เราก็ชนะคะแนนเขา
ใช่ตัวสูงปัง
Well, do you want to practice with the headband to try to get the head kick?
yeah บอกฉันมีฝึกซ้อมพยายามท
So
ำกับคุณดินนะ
to not be terrified of being knocked out by Jampatong,
ใช่
I'm gonna practice the things that they were just
See if
teaching
he can
me.
correct you.
ใช่
with Crudin.
บอกคุณดินทำ
So the idea is to get this like it's fine feeling in your opponent that's like I'm either annoying you or it's like yeah you can just keep getting kicked there. Hi.
ไม่เหมือนกัน
So you can see the difference in the body kick versus the head kick with me. What truly was just amazing to me was how indistinguishable Jampatong's kicks are from each other.
เวลาพี่ทำมึงกัน
Oh, look at that guy.
Oh, fucking
No
hell.
matter if his pads are there
It's beautiful.
ไม่ช่วย
He was off screen, but
ไม่ช่วยทำไม
Crudin just got knocked over with his pads up. He caught the kick with his pads, and it doesn't matter. It's still just like slammed him to the floor.
เตะตัวเป็นมึงกันทำแบบ
So Jampatong actually just said you can't kick strong. Like don't use power or it won't come up. Like it has to be relaxed and drop in.
เพลินเนี่ย
See how it flick over?
I don't know how he does that because it comes so straight up and then goes down.
Yeah.
His hip just comes out and then it like goes over.
Well,
Oi.
better.
Look at his standing leg.
ถ้าเขาความอยู่กับที่ไม่ติดกับที่
So he doesn't pivot on it. He keeps it in one position. Knocked myself over on the first one.
เริ่มดีขึ้น
The relaxing on that like height is totally important, but also very hard to do.
เราไม่เสียหลัก
So
stays
Yeah.
Jampatong is saying you don't have to switch, like don't like gallop. You switch on. You switch on the first one. Jampatong has a little bit of a sadist streak in him. He like totally kicked the head first, knowing that Crudin was thinking it was going to be like the body head that we've been doing. There it goes. It's a little higher. So we're working on setups, like how to set up for that kick.
โหนนี่โหนโดน
ไม่ได้
So basically, when my leg is caught, they want me to pull my leg towards myself and grab his neck to protect myself. I don't understand what he's saying. So see how he pulls his leg, which like it's like a fishing hook. It just like pulls me in.
เด็ดเด็ดมาดิ
เตะขวา
เด็ดพับขา
ไป
Bend your knee down. Come on.
So you have to do this quickly. Like when they grab it, they have a moment where they can tighten their arm and it can actually twist you. So I want to collapse my leg before he does that. If he locks my leg, he can turn me. If I collapse my leg, it pulls him into me and I can grab him. I wonder why people didn't grab Jampatong's kicks. Like, if you've got his leg, he can't head kick you. Little Namkabuan plowing. See how much my hands drop? This is how Jampatong would knock me out, is that everything I do, I have this like relaxation of dropping of my hands. And he's like, yeah, relax, do what you want to do. Like you have to be so protected.
Head. Yeah.
And then he forces you into a position where he can knock you out.
ไม่ใช่สลับไม่ต้องสลับใช่ไหมใช่
So Jampatong said don't do the salap, don't do the like switch step for the kick. So instead you just walk forward. He sets up the walking forward with a right cross. So he right crosses, switches stance, and throws that kick. It's beautiful.
Look at that.
See how much power he gets on
It's
it.
so fast.
It's just like he's like leaning. He's not even walking.
If you watch his feet, he barely even steps forward, but the shift in weight allows him to throw that kick. A little bit.
You like that? You like that?
The peanut gallery likes it. There's nice power on that left kick, which is why they're like, yeah. But Jampatong, his segue from that punch into the kick is so like calm. Like I'm just zombie killing you. It's really beautiful.
A little bit.
It's natural.
When he does
But
it,
because he's so relaxed with it, that's why he can do a head kick instead of a body kick.
it's not a like.
But I saw what Jampatong is doing with his feet. Watch his feet when he does this.
See how little.
See how he just barely steps forward? It's like 2 inches.
It's like a stroll.
You can see my face. I'm like,
Ow.
He moves in a little bit. He
ง่าย
doesn't step out, he moves
Punch
in.
is very accurate.
He
as
steps
well.
in, yeah.
He's 60, and he has not done any Muay Thai in 30 years.
Oh my goodness.
so I'm telling Kevin what
Yeah, I
Jampatong,
think he kicked the bag earlier.
what Gulab Khao told me, but Jampatong is 60 and has not done any Muay Thai. The way Gulab Khao tells it, he has not worked out or done anything in 30 years, and he just shows up and like,
Noodle shop and
boop, head kicks.
30 years ไม่เคยออกกำลังกายเลย
ไม่เคยออกกำลังกาย like doesn't even work out 30 years.
จะเอาเข้ามาซ้อมแล้วเอาเข้ามาช่วยสอนเด็กเอามาช่วยสอนเด็ก
So then Gulab Khao said when I asked him to come help teach you, he came. It's very nice. I feel incredibly grateful for these kinds of opportunities, and I'm going to cry right now talking about this because in building the Muay Thai library, I get to have these beautiful experiences like watching them and seeing their faces as they're playing together, but in filming it and in seeing these whole conversations and the interactions between them, it's a library, it's forever. People get to see these experiences that like, you can't go train with Jampatong, like he is running his restaurant all the time, but his Muay is still there. You can see it when they're playing together. You can see it when he's demonstrating everything. It's just like 30 years, nothing, and it just comes back in a second. So, I'm teasing Gulab Khao a little bit. Again, he's the head of Jit Mugnon Gym. They have 40 fighters. They have an incredible number of active fighters. They're not there all at the same time because they cycle with their fights coming and stuff like this. But 30 years, and he comes back and can just do what he was doing before. You never forget. I was making a joke. I'm like, fighters now, they take 6 months off and forget everything. Like, it's not the same.
Sanchern, he's saying
I said if
Sanchern
my
is
trainer told me I had to fight Jampatong, I would basically just start training like.
Oh, he was the opponent
Yeah, for 6 months.
because he was protecting his neck.
But Sanchern had this kind of incredible, it's a little bit like what Kevin and I are calling the diamond guard. He had this kind of like thing to protect himself. It's very unusual. He actually didn't develop it for Jampatong. He had it earlier than that, but he used it for Jampatong. And it didn't work.
Maybe
He
Sanchern tried many
got
times.
knocked out.
เวลาถ้ากับเซนเชิงแล้วก็เซนเชิงปังแบบนี้เคยเห็นไหมไม่ตกใจ
So I asked him, when you fought Sanchung and you saw him block like this, were you surprised? Had you ever seen anything like that? And they're like, oh, we'd seen Sanchung do it before. It was not shocking.
Nobody else
It's like
does
just
it.
what he
It's not
does.
surprising. It's like I understand what he's doing.
คือมันทวงกันไปแต่ซ้อมแล้วไงซ้อมเราก็รู้แล้วว่าจะต่อยแสนเชิงเนี่ยแสนเชิงก็
So
เราจะแก้ไงที่
people had seen Sanchung do this block before, and so if you knew you were going to fight Sanchung, you knew you had to figure out how to get through this block that he was doing, which is why Jampatong was like, I'm just going to catch his kick.
Weapons can come
No, yeah, I think I was thinking he cannot
So
punch out of
Sanchung
it.
had this block,
Yeah.
but Sanchung actually is a really good puncher, and he didn't punch out of this block very well. He didn't strike out of this block very well. So it was very defensive, but you can't. He couldn't strike out of it, so he had to come out of it.
น้าค่ายเขาเป็นอะไรประธานยูโดอ่ะใช้เทคนิคยูโดเทคนิคยูโดมันมีขัดขา
So Gulabkow has this idea. I don't know if this is true or not, but he said at Sanchung's gym, which would be the Pinsanchai gym, one of the trainers knew judo, like had come from judo, and so he kind of like
เวลาเข้าในเนี่ยมัน
influenced a little bit of some of things that Sanchung was doing with judo.
ตัวนี้ที่
I don't know if that's true or not.
ทำยูโดทำกับนี่แล้วก็
ใช่ใช่
มวยไทยเป่า
เอฟเอล
ใช่
So Jampatong added there that this judo influence made him good at body throws, which you kind of can't do anymore. Like they don't score them anymore, so they've kind of disappeared from contemporary Muay Thai, which is a shame because they're awesome. And in the golden age, people like Nam Kabun, Seng Tianoi, Chmuk Pet, they had incredible body throws. They were so exciting. They just don't score them the same anymore.
Well, how do you train the head kick?
So we're going to learn how to train this head kick on a bag. So if you're at your gym and you want to work on Jampatong's head kick and you have a bag, here's how you go.
ยืนให้ดีๆยืน
Look at Jampatong's feet. He lost his balance a little bit there, but now he knows how to fix it. See how it just whips up? Gulabkow.
ตัวตรง
Oh, the older brother, go hold the bag. Look at his balance. He doesn't kick the same way Jampatong does. Gulabkow twists his foot. See the twist on his foot so that he can get the height? That's because he doesn't have the same flexibility as Jampatong.
ๆขึ้นไป
But Jampatong just lands that foot and it comes up. And you have to control your hands for balance.
ใช่
So Jampatong just kicked my standing leg while I was throwing my kick because this is his thing. He knows what you're vulnerable to when you're doing this. So he starts hitting me and kicking my standing leg to be like, learn how to have confidence through this.
แล้วมันจะเคยอ่า
Keep your hand up.
ดีเนี่ย
So this is really good. He's like alternating between smacking me in the face or like just touching my standing leg to get me to like push through a Jampatong. I didn't see that when we were training. He made a exhausted face to his friend over in the corner because he hasn't trained in 30 years. It was very cute.
โอ้ไม่ได้
So Jampatong just told me to burn. He's like, do like 3 or 4 in a row.
ตรงกลับนี่ตลอด
ใช่ใช่กลับที่เดิมตลอด
So you have to come back to neutral. You have to come back to your starting position.
กลับมาที่เดิมปั๊บ
You can't kick and come back
ยังไม่เตะก็ข้าง
squared off. You've got to like
ทางนี้อย่าไปอย่างนี้
flip up.
ใช่
ปั๊บปั๊บปั๊บปั๊บอย่างนี้แล้วขึ้นปั๊บ
ถ้ากลับที่นี่เสียหลักไม่ได้
ไม่ได้
ตรง
So if you come back too squared up, sialak means like off balance. You're just going to lose your balance. See how everything, these real fighters, everything they do when they come to demonstrate something starts with them having rhythm and finding the right moment to go. Nobody just like walks up and does the thing. They like get into their, here's the moment.
อ่า
ประมาณนี้แล้วก็คิด
So
นี่ใช่ไหม
ใช่ใช่
here
ใช่
he's saying you have to hit the same spot on the bag all the time. You don't want to be hitting all over the place. He's like, not here, 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 here. So I went up and I measured where is my neck on the bag, and most of my opponents are taller than me, so like make it a little bit higher, and that's where I want to hit. But he's like, hit the same spot every time.
เตะให้แม่นแต่บนเวทีเราจะเตะคอมันก็เป้าหมายไปอีกเป้ามันก็จะเตะแม่น
ใช่
He's saying if you get accuracy on the bag, then when you go kick someone's neck in the ring, you know you're kicking their neck rather than like, it might land, not sure.
นี่
See how my head tips over to the side in order to get my leg up? That's because of my flexibility status. You might not be flexible, not everyone's flexible, but that's still a head kick. So my head has to come over a little bit. Jampatong's doesn't.
อ่า
ไม่ได้ถ้าคุณสู้นี่แล้วก็ขาเดียวแล้วก็ผิดอ๋อแต่
So I'm understanding that you have to be ready to throw this kick at all times. You have to have your footwork and your like weight balance correct to be able to throw it at any moment, because your opponent presents the opportunity out of a split second, and you have to be ready to throw it. You can't be like, miss that one, miss that one, because your feet aren't right. So when you're training, you're like body, head, right? Because you can't just throw head kicks all the time. People know. So this is Gulab Cow. He's like, you throw here, you move around. You throw here, you throw up. Like, you basically want to play with your rhythm and timing of that head kick. It's looking a little bit more similar. So, Gulab Cow is saying, like, make sure it's high enough so that you're not clipping the shoulder. So, when you're using your front leg, so like your lead leg, when you kick, you want to come down and then return to your regular stance. If you're going to kick twice, put it behind you. But if you're just kicking once and then coming off, you want to like correct your stance. So this is Jampatong's like right cross left kick, and I'm like practicing it, and Gulab Cow's like real mak, like he's so fast when he does this. Like Jampatong was so fast. Soy, I got a soy.
It has to stay so close. It's like the golden kick times 1,000. It's like up the side.
This is the thing about his kick. It is just, it rides straight up and over. It's like the golden kick, but like tight. So a lot of people love to drop their hand when they're throwing a punch. That's perfect opportunity for Jampatong.
Yeah, it's like bop bop, like one.
His punch kick is very fast. Some people will put like a little like pacing in there. His is like one thing. So Gulab Cow is making this point as well. He's like, you want the punch and the kick to just come so that they're still responding to the punch when the kick is hitting them already.
Oh, that's fast.
Their rights are the same as each other. They're just like
a hammer.
Like a cross.
The Nontachai brothers and their right crosses are just nasty.
Oh, it's so...
See how it comes down? He like drags the knuckles down.
You see how short it is?
I felt how short it was.
Yeah, but...
It's a right cross, and he covers distance with it, but it's actually a very short punch. It's like scraping down your face as he's landing it. So he has a little bit of a pause when he does right. When he does right-left, it's like one movement, but when it's right, he has a little bit of a pause.
It's a very short. It's like the stun. Look at how short it is. It's very...
You can hear it when he's like punching into his own glove. It's like knocking. Oh, that's an exaggeration, but not so much. He's just like, bong. That time he slammed me in the face when we were sparring over there. I felt that. I felt it kind of like, just like. So he was telling me to be careful.
Knocking on a
punching the bag with no gloves on because the leather will scrape my skin.
Shoulder. Oh, almost swimming.
Which shows that he actually is dragging along the surface, right? Like there's ways to hit where it's like you're like knocking, but you're really just kind of clipping it. He's like, and his left is like that too. See how it like his shoulder just like kind of inverts. Mine is very slow. His is very fast because it comes straight out and then inverts at the last second. It's not wide. He doesn't chicken elbow. There's no chicken wing on it. It just bang, like turns over at the end. They're so hard.
All his stuff comes like down.
Mm.
So I'm trying to feel the like shortness of these punches and then the like power of the kick. When you play with this, you can feel like what that distance is like.
I think that's good.
Okay.
I think it's pretty good.
Okay.
You're showing some.
This one,
what's
we're
that
like
punch?
we're
What's that
good,
punch?
and then
What's the-
Jampatong's like, no, you need to work on this hook. Like you need to learn this hook.
That's good.
Just sit here.
It goes right into your like liver.
Oh, do you see that? Jack?
His liver.
He sets it up with that.
And now the shark has tasted blood by hitting me for real. And he starts hitting me. And he's just barely doing it, but it's so hard. Honest to God, I fight people much bigger than me, and I have not been hit harder than Jampatong barely doing it many times. Like, it is, my like jumpy response is because the pinpoint accuracy of that, he's not hitting that hard, but it's like those little things you use to like break a window where it's just so exact that it shatters the whole glass. His accuracy on that hook, he's just like, bang, the acceleration is at just the right moment. Oh my God, if I had my hand up and he was punching me through it in that thing that I was saying before, where it's like he will knock you out through your guard, through your glove, it doesn't matter. He is not even hitting that hard. He's like fucking bang.
He's coming to help.
So Credin's making a point about turning. Look at his front
A
side.
little bit.
His front leg pivots hard. Ooh. Ooh.
Not.
This is one of those things where, like, if you hit someone with their guard down, gone. If you hit them with their guard up, you put the fear in them like nothing. That series of hooks from Jampatong was like, thank you, sir, I hate it. Like, no, I don't want to be hit like that.
Alright. You can feel it.
They're tight. It's like the acceleration is right on the end. Sagat, if you watch Sagat in the Muay Thai Library, we have 3.5 hours with him. His acceleration and like efficiency is something that Jampatong has in the like shortness of his punches. They're very efficient and super heavy because they're very accurate, but he's not like using a lot of power on them. This is why one of the reasons his like right cross left kick comes so fast is that when he stings you with that first one, you have no time to respond to the second thing. You're like, fuck, on that first one. Jampatong, awesome.